Welcome to Joy in Our Town. I'm your host, Vijoya Chapelier. Today we have George and Tondra Gregory, and they're from Journey for Life. They are marriage architects. They've educated and mentored couples from North Carolina to New York City and to the NFL. Actually, you've worked with our very own New York Jets and helped a lot of those couples deal with a lot of the strains and trials that go through the life that they have, being in the professional limelight. And they're here today to help us strengthen and improve our marriages. Welcome.
Thank you for having us. In our marriage, we've been married for 18 years with 2 kids. And
congratulations.
Thank you. Pray for us. What we've done is we've set boundaries. And so when I had a garage, my wife would she would make me finish my phone calls, text messages before I walked in the house. So when I walked in the house, I could be present and not be distracted by phone calls or telling my kids when they were ready to jump on me when I went in the door to say, wait. And so we've set boundaries. The other thing is that we've set boundaries at the dinner table. So we try to say, you know, no texting, no games. We want to be focused and very present because for a lot of New York families especially, they're so busy that they have to have a center point during the day. And for us, dinner time is very important.
Well, it sounds like, you know, that you are making time for your family at the dinner table, which seems like something that we used to do in the past, but you're finding a way and you're making a point to do it now. Is that something that really couples should realize is you're just going to have to do this on purpose?
Yes, you have to be very intentional about your relationships. Getting away, taking vacation, having days where you don't have electronic devices, but you say this is a day that we're going to have dinner together. Maybe you can't do it every night. It could be breakfast. One of the things that I try to make sure every Saturday morning, we sit down as a family and we have breakfast and we talk and catch up with what's been going on in each other's lives.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. And how about your kids? Because with so many activities, and for people outside of New York that don't understand the complexities of living here, even just logistics, transportation, kids take a subway to school instead of a yellow school bus oftentimes. So how do you even discuss those things with your kids, like trusting them to do something that maybe only an adult would do otherwise, fostering that kind of communication with them?
Yeah, I think, for our kids, they've had to grow up fast. And for us to be able to communicate and also talk to them about not only to educate them on some of the dangers, but in order to give them responsibility, you have to trust them. And so for us, we have to juggle not only our busy lives and everything that we have our hands in, but we've got to juggle the busy lives of our kids. And so for us to talk and plan together and to understand that we can't always do what we always want to do, but together as a family, we try to work it out.
Teaching responsibility from an early age.
Yes.
And that really kind of prepares them for success in marriages and in relationships later in life. Going back to marriages, our world has changed quite a lot in the last several years. How has the global economic crisis even affected the state of marriages here in New York City? Have you seen that in your counseling practice?
Yes. When money is tight, as the global crisis has shown all of us, when money's tight, people don't get married as they used to. And so we've seen since 2008, the percentage of marriages has declined. The other thing is that when the money is gone or is tested, it really shows and exposes what the marriage is really made of. We saw countless couples when we first moved here in 2008 that the economic crisis really shook the foundation of their marriage. Now, some people checked out on their marriage, but for others, it really said that they had a strong, vibrant marriage. We know that money is not, we don't need a lot of money, but money helps.
Well, some people might say, no, but in all seriousness, it is true. They say that you find out what's inside the tube of toothpaste when it gets squeezed, because that's what comes out, and once it's out, it's out. So,
and money has been one of the top reasons for couples to divorce is money and financial problems, because it adds that stress and strain on the marriage. And if couples don't turn towards each other in more of a unified team approach to tackling their financial challenges, then that money and the financial problems can come in and turn them against each other and divide their unity, because then they start to blame one another or put pressure on one another to kind of resolve the issue. So I would say approaching these money issues as a team and as a couple, and that together we have what it takes to get out and get through this.
Yes.
Well, and the key to this is having some effective communication. You know, we've often heard it say that, oh yeah, the key to a great relationship is communication. Well, okay, great, but what does that really mean? Because you guys teach some specific communication tools to couples. Can you share some of those with us?
Sure. Well, maybe my wife will speak more to that. I'll talk about maybe some bad communication skills. And that is, we all want to get our point across, but how the other person is receiving it makes a big difference.
Well, that's important.
And if they're getting from us what Dr. John Gottman refers to as the 4 horsemen in his book, 7
Principles for Making Marriage Work.
He talks about 4 horsemen, and those really quickly is, if someone is critical, it really makes a conversation go very bad. If someone has contempt or cynicism as they're speaking to their spouse, it really makes things go bad. If they're defensive, and if they're stonewalling, if they're just kind of like zoning out and checked out. And so those are some key things. And as we talked about many times with couples, listening is very, it's a skill. You have to listen to what's being said and not be ready to interject to get your point across.
Yes, I would say that listening is one of the most powerful parts of the communication process, because listening kind of directs the flow and the direction that this conversation is going to go, or this disagreement is going to go in. And the reason why I say it is very powerful, because if you are listening to the heart of what the person is communicating and not getting caught up in the presentation of the communication, whether it's emotional, whether it's frustration or anger, but listening to the heart of what that person is trying to communicate will allow you to respond to the appropriate need. And that's the most that's really the goal of communication, is for the person to really understand what need is being communicated, because that determines how you respond to what they're saying. You know, for example, we want to diffuse arguments. We want to diffuse the disagreement. And in order to do that, you ask more clarifying questions. So really the listener is all about what that person is speaking, and the listener is honing in, and basically it's all about who is communicating at that moment, meaning asking those clarifying questions. So what
are some of those clarifying questions? Because some couples just seem to have the same argument over and over, and we just need to stop all of that craziness.
Well, we teach to ask a clarifying question. So what I heard you say, or did I hear you say, you didn't love me? And then the other spouse, no, I didn't say I didn't love you. What I said is we need to do a better job. And so asking clarifying questions. So what I got out of that was, and then the other person that was communicating with is able to say whether or not they indeed intended it or did not intend it. The other thing for us is that we teach to really not just ask clarifying questions, but sometimes you have to sort of put everybody at ease and really say a few simple words, and those words are, I'm sorry. If you took something bad, what I said, I didn't mean that. And so we like to take pauses or timeouts. And our key word when we're sometimes having intense fellowship or a disagreement, like all couples do, is we've got a buzzword and we say, I'm not your enemy.
Oh, that's so good.
I'm not your enemy.
That's so
I know
good.
my words might have hurt, they might have been taken out of context, but we're on the same team. I'm not your enemy. And that for us means, let's just calm down, let's walk away, and let's come back later when we can communicate more effectively.
These are excellent tools. Now, we just have a couple of minutes left. I wish we had a whole hour with you, because your material is so good, and people can reach you on your website, and they can get more of your information and more of your resources. But to the couple who feels like their marriage was a mistake and they're ready to walk out, what advice would you give to them right now and just in the next moment that we have left?
There's so much involved when a couple says, I feel like I've made a mistake. Sometimes you feel like it's the other person's fault or the other person is causing this mistake. But what we suggest is counseling or mentoring couples, because what we need, we're so emotionally involved in our relationship that sometimes we can't look at things objectively. And getting an outside person to objectively look at your marriage can help you work through some issues where you may be feeling you made a mistake. It just could be something that's not clear, that you're not looking appropriately at, and then also getting those tools in order to work through your relationship so that it can be more satisfying and fulfilling.
Now, I'll also say that I think everybody thinks it's my marriage, I've got the worst marriage, or we got a lot of work to do. In reality, we all have a lot of work to do. And when we really embrace that truth, then we will allow other people to speak into our marriage or to be an example or to model. That's why we really believe in having a mentoring couple to speak into your marriage, or counseling, or reading books or going to seminars. There's a lot of work to do in all of our marriages.
The key is being intentional. Marriage, you don't just know how to be married. It doesn't just happen haphazardly. It's working on your marriage, and that is an evolving process, and it's a never-ending process. You continue to work on your marriage.
You know, and as we do that, we can talk to people like George and Tondra Gregory, and you have, again, a lot of resources on your website, Journey for Life. Thank you so much for being with us today. So remember, everyone, be intentional, be purposeful. Remember that your spouse is not your enemy. You're on the same side, and, you know, maybe you'll have to do something a little different next time to get a different result and stop those same arguments that you've been having this whole time. Thank you so much, George and Tondra, for your advice. We really appreciate you being on the program today.
Thank you for having us.
All right, everyone, stay tuned. There's more Joy in Our Town coming your way right after this.